games no more. We're ready for war, yeah. We ain't playing no games no more. We're ready for war. We're ready for war, yeah. We're ready for war. I hit the block, prophesied about 100 missile drone flying by. Bullets ricochet, they rip through tissue. NSA got you on their scope, just hope they miss you. Y'all got them cyborgs, they got them androids. They making life, but it's artificial. They making clones without no souls, I'm talking mind control. They got them guns, they hit your mind through telepathy. They making antimatter bombs as they weaponry. They're talking quantum physics, summoning raising spirits. They got them laser guns, they got them weather guns. Oh, you thought that was something? You thought they busted something? You thought that something compared to when Christ is coming? You ain't seen nothing yet. Make a bet you won't forget. He's going down, coming back for war. He coming back. He coming back. He coming back. But he cracked the skies all black. He the light. He got them saints with him. He got them angels with him. And make you feel it in your spirit. Coming back for war. Yeah. He coming back. He coming back. But he cracked the skies all black. He the light. He got them saints with him. He got them angels with him. And make you feel it in your spirit. Coming back for war. Yeah. He coming back. 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 Yeah. He hit the scene. He coming back from the east with the saints who endured and took the guillotine like a thief in the night. Catch you sleeping. Good night.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise and honor to the Most High Ahaya, the Hashem Yeshaya, Wabra Kodash. We want to welcome you all to another Sabbath lesson. And yes, the Most High have blessed us and allowed us to enter into another day of rest, which is a blessing and a sign of his mercy. This week, we're going to go into a lesson titled Satan's Stolen Inventions and the Mark. Again, we're dealing with Satan's stolen inventions and the mark. And this should be a very good lesson, especially based on many things we're seeing now in the news, on the internet, that are coming out concerning some of the new technology that's being introduced slowly but surely into our society. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply read the introduction of the lesson just to set the tone and kind of give you the context in which this information will be provided. And then afterwards, we'll just let the spirit flow and bring forth the information. Okay? So Brother Shapat, you can read the introduction and then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, blue. Okay. It says throughout biblical history, there are many miracles done by the Most High. Satan's goal was to be like the Most High on many levels. Not only did he desire to have the Most High's people worship him, but he also wished to duplicate the miracles that the Father had done through the Spirit by manipulations of science.
Right. So that's the basic concept of this week's lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the scriptures and attempt to resolve what was stated in the introduction through the Most High's word. Of course, for many people, if we would have brought this information out 5, maybe 10 years ago, a lot of people would have considered us science fiction conspirators, okay, or nuts. But as time goes on, we're starting to see more and more things being brought to the light. As the Most High stated, many shall go to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. And we are obviously seeing an increase in knowledge and an increase of things being revealed in these last days concerning not only the truth, the gospel, but also exposing the man of sin, as well as their Lord, Satan. So as time goes on, we're starting to see a development of these different technologies. And some people may ask, well, can we resolve this through Scripture? Or do the Scriptures speak about these things in general? And first, to set the tone, to understand why Satan would try to create such technologies and mimic the Most High, we're going to start in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, and the 12th verse. And this is the root of why Satan seeks to mimic the Most High in every facet you can imagine. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12, and you can start.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
So the Bible asks, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Why is it asking this question? Because at one point, who we know as Satan was an angel in the heaven known as Lucifer. So now the Bible is asking, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Go ahead.
Son of the morning.
He was a morning star, as it tells us in the book of Job, I believe the 38th chapter, it speaks about the morning stars who sang before God. Go ahead.
How art thou cut down to the ground?
How art thou cut down to the ground?
Which didst weaken the nations.
Which didst weaken the nations. As we read in the book of Revelation, it speaks about him being released and going forth to deceive the nations. It tells us in Revelations 12, as well as in other references, that his whole plan was to deceive the world. So the nations have been weakened through his deception. And part of his deception is his technology, making the nations believe that he's powerful enough to overthrow the Most High. Okay? And this is not speaking about the so-called white man. For anyone who has ran into any of those teachings, this is speaking about the spiritual angel Lucifer. Okay? I have to mention that. Go ahead. 13.
Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
I will ascend into heaven. This is what Lucifer said in his heart while he was still in the heavenly realm. And this is why he was cast out. He said in his heart, go ahead.
I will ascend into heaven.
I will ascend into heaven. Go ahead.
I will exalt my throne.
I will exalt my throne
above the stars of the Most High.
Above the stars of God. Go ahead. And we know that the Most High says that the earth is his footstool and the heavens are his throne. So he's seeking to set his throne above the Most High's high, holy heavens. Go ahead.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation.
I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. Go ahead.
In the sides of the north.
In the sides of the north. So you have the sides of the north in the physical realm, which the book of Psalms speak about. I believe the 44th chapter, where it speaks about Jerusalem and Mount Zion being the sides of the north. But you also have a congregation of the angels in the heavens, which are spoken of in the book of Psalms, the 82nd chapter, which is also the sides of the north. Okay? So he seeks to place his throne not only over the Most High's holy land, but also over the Most High's high holy heavens. Go ahead.
Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Go ahead.
I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. This is the bane of Satan's existence, to try to mimic, to perpetrate and be like the Most High, impersonate the Most High. Okay? So this explains why he creates technologies, which, number one, are not new concepts, new ideas. They're not really innovative. They're just carbon copies of things which the Most High have already created and made. When you look at technology, there's no technology that's truly influenced by so-called science. Like there's no technology that's influenced by the Big Bang. And the reason why I mention that is because they try to make you think that these are just scientific innovations. The reality is that all your great scientific inventions have been influenced by what the Most High have already created. Okay? Whether it be birds, whether it be trees, whether it be bugs, beast of the field, the human mind, so on and so forth. So they seek to, or Satan seeks to take what the Most High created and made in his perfection and try to mimic it so that he can say, well, look, God did it, the Creator did it, I can do it too. And anything he does, I can do it better. That's when you hear these so-called scientists, these transhumanists, they'll state that, well, we can take what nature have gave us and make it better.
Right.
Okay? That's the whole concept behind this idea of Satan trying to be like the Most High. Okay? Read on.
Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Exactly. So Satan will eventually be brought down to hell and the sides of the pit. Now, why does the Bible mention this? Because again, with this technology, Satan is convincing the nations and he's convincing himself that he has the power to overthrow and overtake the Most High. Now, how could we come to such a conclusion? Is this just our own conspiracy? Is this something we just made up? Is this a theory? And the answer is no. If you want to know the prototype for what Satan is trying to do in this modern time, the only thing you have to do is go back to the Tower of Babel in the book of Genesis, the 11th chapter, as well as in the book of Jasher, which explains in depth the mindset of those who sought to build the Tower of Babel. It was not simply a tower. It was a tower that would be used to go into the heavens and overthrow the Most High. And they even thought that with their weapons, they can shoot at the Most High and overthrow him and overtake him. That's mentioned in the book of Jasher. So that's the prototype for what Satan is trying to do in the modern time. Okay, so this is not our own theory as to why this technology and these weapons are being created. So it tells us that he shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Verse 16.
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee.
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, because he's convinced many people throughout ages and generations that he would resurrect them. He would have the power to bring them back to life. So all those nations who he promised he's going to bring back to life, when he himself is brought down to hell, is going to look at him and say, I thought you were going to be the guy to save us and deliver us. But now you've been doomed to the same judgment that we received. Okay, go ahead. They shall narrowly look upon you.
And consider thee.
And consider thee, go ahead.
Saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble? The same man who God, who through his only begotten Son will send into the earth, bound him in chains and bound him in the pits of hell? Is this the same God we depended on to overthrow the Most High? Go ahead.
That did shake kingdoms.
Go ahead.
That made the world as a wilderness.
Go ahead.
And destroyed the cities thereof. That opened not the house of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch.
Exactly. Okay. So this is again, this is the mindset behind Satan and his wicked inventions, which seek to do what? To mimic and impersonate the technology and the wisdom of the Most High. Okay. Now we're going to show some examples. Let's go to the book of Judges, chapter 6, verse 36. And we're basically, what we're doing is we're going back into the Bible and we're showing you some things that the Most High did, which were miracles. And how Satan has taken some of these same exact things and have sought to make his own replication of what we read of in the Bible as far as miracles. Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Judges chapter 6 and verse 36. And Gideon said unto the Most High, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, And if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said.
Right. So the prophets of old, when they were called forth by the Most High, they often sought signs and wonders to confirm whether the Most High was really using them and whether this was the true God revealing himself unto them to use them to deliver his people or for whatever purpose he sought to use them. So now Gideon is trying to seek a sign of the Most High to figure out if he's truly calling Gideon to deliver the people of Israel. And it says, I will put a fleece of wool in a floor. And if there be dew on the fleece, and if it be dry on all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said. So you have to understand the great, I guess you would say, wisdom behind this this miracle. In other words, he's saying that he will put this wool in a floor. And if everything around it is dry, but the fleece itself is wet, then he'll believe the Most High. So that means that it's not because something rained upon the earth and made the earth wet and it seeped into the ground. It's solely based on the fact that the Most High moisturized this fleece in the ground while everything surrounding it is dry, which is a very great miracle. Read on.
Verse 38. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow.
And it says it was so. So the Most High did it exactly as Gideon asked. It was so. Go ahead.
And thrust the fleece together, and wring the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water.
So the dew was, or the fleece was so filled with dew and moisture that he was able to fill a whole bowl of water. Keep in mind that the ground around it was dry. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And Gideon said unto the Most High, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground that there be dew.
Right. So now let the fleece dry up, and let the ground around it be moist with dew. All right, go ahead.
Verse 40. And the Most High did so that night.
And the Most High did so that night. So the Most High confirmed both signs and both wonders before the prophet Gideon. Go ahead.
For it was dry upon the fleece.
It was dry on the fleece. Go ahead.
On the fleece only. And there was dew on all the ground.
Exactly. Okay. So in the scientific world, they have taken some of the Most High's wisdom and sought to make their own form of technology which mimics this. Okay, and it's called super hydrophobic coating spray, which is nanotechnology that coats the surface or material with a layer that will allow it to be completely protected from any kind of moisture, even if the material itself is completely submerged in it. Okay, and we have a picture example that we can show you. Here's an example. All right, and this is what they call nanotechnology, in which they have basically, as you can see, they have this coating spray which is running off of the shoe without leaving any mark. Okay, it's just running off of the sides. So it's submerging the shoe with this coating spray or this liquid, but the shoe itself is basically running off the shoe itself, in which when it's done running its process, the shoe will be completely dry. Okay. So again, they've sprayed this shoe with that coating spray, and you can see that moisture is running off the sides. Okay, this is an example of how they have taken the Most High's wisdom and sought to replicate it through science. And anyone with any level of wisdom and understanding knows that none of this technology is coming from the minds of men. Okay, men are not waking up in the morning and saying, how can I create a spray that can be so water resistant that we can put black sludge on something and it'll completely roll off. Okay, they don't come up with these ideas. They don't come up with the idea of how to put how much uh, gasoline or petrol, whatever they put into a rocket, how much fuel to put into a rocket to send it into outer space. Okay, they don't have that mental capacity. All right, what they do have is seducing spirits and devils who reveal certain technologies unto them. All right, and this is just one of the many examples. Now we move into the book of 2 Kings, chapter 1, verse 9. Here's another example.
That's 2 Kings, right?
2 Kings 1 and 9. And we're dealing with the prophet Elijah. Go ahead.
Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. And he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of an hill. And he spake unto him, Thou man of the Most High, the king hath said, Come down. Verse 10. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, If I be a man of the Most High, then let fire come down from heaven, and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven, and consumed him and his 50.
Right. So in other words, you have these men who were sent unto Elijah to try to destroy Elijah based on the works he was doing to combat the worshippers of Baal during the time of King Ahab and his wife Jezebel. So Elijah told the captain of 50 that if I be a man of God, imagine this, if I be a man of God, let fire rain down from heaven to destroy you and the 50 men that are under your command. And the Most High confirmed his word through the prophet Elijah by sending fire from heaven to destroy the captain of 50 and his men. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 11. Again also he sent unto him another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of the Most High, thus hath the king said, Come down quickly.
So the king sent another 50 men with a captain and told Elijah that the king is asking for you to come quickly. Come and present yourself before the king. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And Elijah answered and said unto him, If I be a man of the Most High,
If I be a man of the Most High, go ahead.
Let fire come down from heaven.
Let fire come down from heaven. Go ahead.
And consume thee.
And consume thee. And guess what the Most High did? Go ahead.
And thy 50. And the fire of the Most High came down from heaven.
So the Most High confirmed himself with Elijah again, confirming that Elijah was a prophet, a man sent of God. Okay? And this is why it tells us that the Most High's prophets have the power to send fire from heaven, to confirm his word. Not so that prophet can be glorified in any fashion. It's just to show that the Most High actually raised this man up and is using him as his vessel. So the Most High is glorified. Go ahead.
And the fire of the Most High came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50. Verse 13. And he sent again a captain of the third 50 with his 50. And the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah and besought him and said unto him, O man of the Most High, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 thy servants be precious in thy sight. Verse 14.
So the third set of 50 men with their captain, seeing that the Most High was dealing with Elijah and what happened to the captain of 50 and the 50 men that came before them, they said that we know that you're a man of God. Let us bow to and they bowed on their knees and they asked mercy of Elijah. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 14. Behold, there came fire down from heaven and burned up the 2 captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in thy sight.
Go ahead.
Verse 15. And the angel of the Most High said unto Elijah, Go down with him, be not afraid of him.
Right. So because this man showed mercy, the angel told Elijah, go down with this man and be not afraid of him. Go ahead.
And he arose and went down with him unto the king. And he said unto him, Thus saith the Most High, forasmuch as thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, is it not because there is no God in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore thou shalt not come down off that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die.
Right. So the reason why we decided to go to this as an example is to show you that, so for example, dealing with this account of Elijah and the captains of 50, we've seen that the Most High sent fire from heaven with pinpoint precision. It wasn't sporadic, in which it almost hit Elijah and destroyed a majority of the earth in the process. This was pinpoint precision coming from the heavenly realm. Okay, spiritual weaponry, which was shot forth in the form of fire to destroy these captains of 50 and their 50 men. Okay, so we can see how in the modern sense, you have technology which tries to replicate the same process. Okay, and some of the things they have in space, such as space weapons, lasers, okay, they have all types of things which they have set up in the heavens and continue to set up in the heavens to try to mimic this same technology. Okay, and we can see here with an example just a pictorial example of how they are taking technology, whether it be jets, drones, okay, whatever the case may be, satellites. They're setting these things up in space, and they're trying to do the same thing the Most High was able to do with his power, with pinpoint precision, sending fire or a projectile upon the planet Earth. Okay? And you would be amazed to see some of the things that they have created. What they give us with the little technology we have before us and are able to utilize, such as a smart TV or a smartphone or the latest laptop, so on and so forth, is very, very minuscule compared to what technology they actually have and are using and testing. Okay, it's far beyond our imagination, whether it be military technology, military grade technology, and even beyond military grade technology. They have technology which is totally being used and operated off of spiritual power. Okay? And a lot of these things we're going to start seeing manifest in these last days. Okay? But this is just another example showing how they're trying to replicate the Most High's wisdom. All right? Let's get 2 Kings 2:23. Go ahead. And this is all, again, leading back to the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, in which Satan stated that he would be like the Most High. So we're seeing living examples of this. No longer do you have to guess how Satan is trying to replicate the Most High. You have examples of how he's trying to replicate the Most High on many levels. Okay? So let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 2, verse 23.
And he went up from thence unto Bethel, and as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head.
Right. So you have these children making fun of the prophet Elisha. Right. So what does the Most High do to these children? Go ahead.
Verse 24. And he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Most High.
So they were cursed in the name of the Most High. Go ahead.
And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tare 42 children of them.
Right. So the spirit came upon these 2 bears, these 2 she-bears, and tear 42 children, meaning 42 children were torn apart by bears for insulting and mocking a prophet of the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And he went from thence to Mount Carmel, and from thence he returned to Samaria.
Right. So what is to show you? To show you that the Most High has power over the beast and the creatures of the field. Let's further validate this and how the Most High uses his creatures in the Apocrypha book of Sirach. Okay. And we're going to start in chapter 39, verse 28. To show how the Most High uses his creation to bring forth judgment. Further confirming what we've read in the book of 2 Kings, the 2nd chapter. Go ahead.
39 and 28.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 39 and verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance.
So there be spirits that are created for vengeance. Go ahead.
Which in their fury lay on sore strokes.
Mm-hmm.
In the time of destruction they pour out their force.
Mm-hmm.
And appease the wrath of him that made them.
So their whole purpose is to appease the wrath of him that made them. Go ahead.
Verse 29. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance.
So all of these things were created for vengeance. Go ahead.
Verse 30.
So now we're starting to see how the Most High uses the weather as a weapon. And now Satan also tries to mimic that same exact concept with HARP and all forms of weather modification technology. Okay? It's not new. It's not innovative. It's not Satan's own creative mind. He's looking at what the Most High did, and he's trying to do it himself.
To heat those metal oxides, the temperature of the sky is raised to more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, preventing the accumulation of water vapor that would otherwise form clouds and produce rainfall. The ELF waves HARP produces bounce off the ionosphere and are able to curve around the Earth over the horizon to the ground, making any point on the globe well within reach.
Okay? So it says fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Go ahead.
Verse 30. Teeth of wild beasts.
Teeth of wild beasts. So yes, the Most High uses beasts, animals, to bring forth judgment. We have another example of this in 2 Kings, the 7th chapter, where the people went into the land and knew not how to serve God, and what happened? The Most High sent lions among them as a form of judgment. Okay, so teeth of wild beasts, go ahead.
Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions.
And scorpions.
Serpents.
And serpents. We've seen that in the wilderness with our forefathers, with their murmuring and complaining. The Most High sent fiery serpents among them. Go ahead.
And the sword.
And the sword. Go ahead.
Punishing the wicked to destruction.
Punishing the wicked to destruction. So why are we going here? We're showing you how the Most High uses the elements, how he uses the weather, and how he uses his creatures, his creation, as a weapon to bring forth vengeance upon the earth. So what does Satan do? We mentioned the weather modification and the weather warfare, how he can cause droughts to take place over a certain country, how he can cause floods and earthquakes and hurricanes to take place in a certain country. Okay? When it comes to the animals, there was a few, I don't know if you remember that article you brought out in which it was speaking about something that was spraying as an aerosol that was changing beasts and making them more and more, I guess you would say, ferocious, wild beasts in the wilderness. Also, they have technology which they've been testing on animals and which they also seek to utilize on animals with microchipping. Okay, exactly, controlling the spirit, controlling the actions, the anger, the ferociousness of these animals.
Verse 31, in terms of the Most High, how he created it. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is.
Exactly.
And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word.
Exactly.
And Satan's trying to do the same thing to control animals, that they don't deviate from that, I would say man-made, but Satan plagiarized technology.
Right, exactly. Trying to make things obey his command, work in his will. But it's even turning on the people who's creating the technology.
Right.
How can you stop a wolf in the wild that's coming and chasing you behind, that you've done all these modifications to it and now it's ferocious? You going camping with your family, now that same wolf is about to tear you and your family to shreds. Okay? So their technology is turning against them, against their own heads. As the Most High said, he have created the smith that blew up the coals and the fire, and the waster that created the thing that wasted from the day of destruction. So he's putting the spirit on these nations to create these technologies, and these nations don't realize that this technology is being used for their own destruction. There was a scientist who came out, and I forget exactly what his name was, going into splicing and genetic modification. And he said that there's a spirit driving me to do this technology. And I don't know what it is. In my mind, I'm like, I shouldn't do this, but there's a spirit driving me to continue in this technology. And I'm afraid what will happen because of it, as a result of it. Okay? They don't realize they've been prepared for their own destruction. All right? And the Most High is allowing Satan to use them for that purpose. So with the Most High, it's perfect. Nobody's going to get caught up in the destruction that the Most High don't want to get caught up in. Okay? If you're a part of the Most High's, if you're the Most High's enemy, as we showed a few weeks ago with the angels counseling with the Most High, and when the Most High sends his judgment for you, you're going to be the one caught up in the judgment. Only those who seek to conspire with you will also be caught up in the judgment. So the Most High deals with precision. Satan with his, it's all chaos. It'll turn on the people that created it. Here it is, you'll create a bear in a laboratory that you can control and so on and so forth. And next thing you know, that bear is now ruling over you, or that robot is ruling over you. Now it has your job, your position.
Fellow executives, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the future of law enforcement. Ed 209. After a successful tour of duty in old Detroit, we can expect 209 to become the hot military product for the next decade. Dr. McNamara.
We'll need an arrest subject.
Mr. Kenny,
Yes, sir.
would you come up and give us a hand, please?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kenny is going to help us simulate a typical arrest and disarming procedure. Mr. Kenny, use your gun in a threatening manner. Point it at Ed 209.
Yes, sir.
Please put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You now have 15 seconds to comply. You are in direct violation of Penal Code 113, Section 9. You now have 5 seconds to comply. 4, 3, 2, 1. I am now authorized to use physical force.
Okay? And that's another thing. They come in, we're seeing the robots being put together. See, a lot of people would say, again, you're a science fiction conspirator. You've been watching too much Terminator. But now the technology is coming out. They're showing it. Google and Boston Technologies are now creating robots specifically for Google, drones and things of that nature. All right. So the information is coming out as to this technology, its existence, and what it's being used for.
Right.
Okay. But going back, the reason why we went to this example and showing you how the Most High uses creation for an attack is to show how Satan, through modification, through splicing, and through RFID technology, is trying to replicate the same thing, in which now he can control the animals. Okay. Let's go to the book of Revelations, and there was a video here I wanted to show, but for the sake of time, it's a very good video. In fact, I'll put it in the chat so you can go back and watch it, on mind control technology. And here's a little picture here.
That's hilarious. Like they care for, was that a rat or something? They got a little bed or whatever.
Right, they have a bed on the rat with all these attachments attached to it, as if the rat is not suffering because they put a little cushion under it. Okay? These are the mad scientists that are running society, okay? And as you can see here, on one side, you have a so-called human being being tested on with this technology, and it's also being tested on the animals, which means he's trying to bring everything under his control. As the scriptures say, the humans or the people, his creation, man, as well as beast, is under his control. So now Satan is trying to replicate that same thing, putting man as well as the creatures under his control. Okay? So let's go to Revelations 13, and this is what this is all culminating to. What the Bible calls the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. Revelations 13 and 16.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Exactly. And we're seeing how everybody is being incorporated in this system. Okay. Everybody slowly but surely is being incorporated into a process in which they will be forced to take the mark of the beast. They started with the animals, and now they're moving on to the people. Free and bond, rich and poor. Right? So all the legislation that's setting forth now is to ensure that those who are free, as well as those who are in prison, as well as those who are rich and poor, will have no choice but to take that mark. And this is a lot of things we go into in our new segment. Okay? Whether you're the low person in the projects, a welfare recipient, they're going to have something rolled out for you to have to accept the mark of the beast. As well as the guy that's in the Fortune 500. He's going to have an excuse or a reason to have to accept the mark of the beast. The guy behind bars will have a reason to have to accept the mark of the beast, as well as the guy who is freely roaming. Okay? Let's move on, verse 17.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Exactly. So the Bible has given us the identity of this mark and is letting us know that one key thing that this mark will be connected to is a spending system, a financial system. All right, that's the sign that the Bible gives us to look for. So when we see a technology that's being introduced in which we cannot operate without this technology, then we know that we are dealing with the mark of the beast.
Right.
Now, that's not the only capability of the mark of the beast. A lot of people are just looking at it from the concept of a spending system, when again, that's the identity and the sign that the Bible, that the Most High has given us to look for. But there'll be other things attached to this technology outside of GPS location, as well as a spending system. When you go back to the experiments of MK Ultra and the Monarch program and all these different mind control programs, all of that technology and all of the results they received from those technologies will all be capsulated within this small little chip, which means what? It won't just be used for location and spending, but also for mind control. Okay? And this is why they've been dealing with they've been trying to perfect for a long time mind control tactics. And they've found a form of technology which can link itself with your makeup, your anatomy, your biology, your DNA, your spirit, and now take control of you. And a lot of people think that this is impossible. How can technology be linked into your system? They're already talking about using electronics and technology for bionics, replacing an arm, replacing a leg for someone's heart. Okay, nanotechnology to fight cancer. We have a nanobot that can go and find the cancer cells and break it down.
My name is Dan Heller. I'm a lab head at Memorial Sloan Kettering and the Sloan Kettering Institute, and my lab focuses on nanotechnologies for the diagnosis and treatment of cancer. Here in the lab, we're trying to make nanoparticles that will actually target and stick to the sites of cancer. The goal here is, after we make these nanoparticles, to encapsulate drugs into them and to work with the clinicians to move them to the bedside. There's a lot of potential in nanotechnology. If the particles can bring a drug directly to the site of a metastatic disease, people won't feel as many side effects. And
without harming anything in your body. They already have technology in the talks and that is actually being used and experimented with that links itself with your genetic makeup. Okay, so how can this affect your spirit? We have to understand, again, we're not just dealing with flesh and blood. With this technology, as I mentioned earlier, there's technologies out there that can only operate through some level of spiritual power and spiritual possession. So in order for this mark to work, not only are you taking in physical technology, you're now taking on a spirit that's linked with this technology that will allow you to become some form of mind-controlled slave. All right? Let's see here. Let's go to the book of Psalm 7 and 8. And another example, if people think that it's impossible for technology to be incorporated with or for spiritual use, I believe it was Thomas Edison who during this time was trying to create I guess you would say a ghost machine, a machine that can detect ghosts, spirits, detached spirits. All right. And that's known, that's not a conspiracy, that's known knowledge that you can look up, information that has been confirmed that he tried to find or create a machine that can detect ghosts, to show that they have knowledge that technology can be used in connection with the spiritual realm. All right. Let's go here to the book of Psalm 7 and 8.
The Most High shall judge the people. Judge me, O Most High, according to my righteousness and according to mine integrity that is in me.
Right. So judge me according to my righteousness and according to the integrity that is in me. That's how the Most High judges men. Right? The Most High deals with the heart. Right? Go ahead, as it will explain.
Verse 9. O let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. For the righteous power trieth the hearts and reins.
So the righteous God, the righteous power, trieth the hearts and the reins. So what does this have to do with Satan's technology? Well, again, if Satan is trying to be like the Most High, it would only be right that he would try to create some form of technology which can read the hearts and the minds of men. And they're already talking about technology with telepathy, mind reading, and things of that nature. And the mark of the beast will be the pinnacle of that technology, in which your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions can be read and interpreted through technology. All right? So all of this is Satan impersonating the Most High's spiritual power. All right? Let's go to 1 Samuel. We have another video here, which I'm going to share through the chat to further confirm the information that we are bringing out. All right. Another one that is not necessarily in a lesson. If anyone remembers back in the book of Joshua, when they walked around the city for 7 days, and on the last day they blew the horn and destroyed the whole city. Well, what is that? That's sound technology. That's sound weapons, which is another thing that Satan attempted or has replicated with sound cannons, sound weapons. All right. It all goes back to what the Most High did through his wisdom. So going back here. In the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 18.
1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 18. And Saul said unto Ahiah, bring hither the ark of the Most High. For the ark of the Most High was at that time with the children of Israel. And it came to pass, while Saul talked unto the priest, that the noise that was in the host of the Philistines went on and increased. And Saul said unto the priest, withdraw thine hand. And Saul and all the people that were with him assembled themselves, and they came to the battle. And behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was a very great discomfiture.
Right. So through the Most High, using the Ark of the Covenant, it tells us here that they came to the battle and something was sent forth. We'll say the Most High spiritual power was sent forth, and it caused a confusion in the camp of the Philistines, in which the Philistines, instead of trying to fight against the Israelites, began fighting amongst themselves, and they had no control over it. So in other words, the Most High took control of their spirit and caused them to turn one against another, similar to what he did with the giants before the flood. Put a spirit upon them and allowed them to now turn against each other and battle against one another. All right. Now, again, with this mark of the beast technology, because it's mind control technology, for whatever reason, they can now decide to put out a vibration or put out a frequency that can allow people to now battle and fight against one another. All right.
They put that in the movie. What was that new movie with the spy?
Which one is The Purge or?
Not The Purge, with Samuel L. Jackson with the SIM card.
I think it's called The Kingsman.
The Kingsman, that's right.
Right.
Where frequency was going out through the cell phones for people to turn on one another.
Exactly.
Bingo. The game. You have played bingo, right?
Do I look like I play bingo?
Point is, if our tests go well at the church tomorrow, we are good to go.
South Glade Mission Church. Merlin, get the plane ready.
Will do.
Harry, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna do it.
You should be. You just stay right there. I'll sort this mess out when I get back.
And I say to you, bear witness. Watch the news. Watch the news. AIDS, floods, the blood of the innocent spilled. And yet there are those who doubt this is the wrath of God. Our filthy government condones sodomy, divorce, abortion, and yet some still doubt this is the work of the Antichrist. You do not have to be a Jew, a nigger, a whore, or an atheistic science-loving evolution spouter.
Charming sermon. Can you see Valentine anywhere?
So, my friend, although he is a just God, he is justly from the Almighty.
You sure we're out of range?
We're over 1,000 feet away. What's wrong?
What if the calculations are wrong?
You just have to trust me.
Jew, nigger, fag lovers, and the devil is burning them for all eternity.
Excuse me.
Where are you going? Hey, what's your problem?
I'm a Catholic whore, currently enjoying Congress out of wedlock with my black Jewish boyfriend who works in a military abortion clinic. So hail Satan, and have a lovely afternoon, madam.
Oh, shit. He's leaving. I'm starting the test now. Hope enough of these freaks have our SIM cards.
Sit down, my friend.
Leave this
Who is this?
Leave this church like the infidel you are. Save you now. You will eat your babies. You will drown in the blood of the Lord. He will not save
Oh, shit, I can't watch this. Get over here.
Exactly. So they're putting it out there in the movies, showing you how these technologies can and will be used.
Had a gentleman come in, and he went to sit down, doing prayer, and he sat there for a few minutes, and then after prayer, he got up, and he went back in our pastor's office, and then I heard 2 shots. It wasn't a minute, and I heard 2 shots, and so I just got everybody out of the church. And you know, we just kept hearing shooting, bang, bang, bang.
Cries of grief rang
But
out.
where did they get it from? Right. They got it from the master of warfare, the Most High. As it tells us in Exodus 15:3, the Lord is a man of war, the Lord is his name. Mm-hmm. So anything you can think about concerning warfare and spiritual battle comes from the Most High. But Satan takes it and he uses it and perverts it for his own use. Okay? What is his ultimate use? To try to not only control man and beast, but to overthrow the Most High and become the Most High. All right? This is his display. This is what he's trying to do and convince us that with his technology, you don't need God, you don't need the Most High. You're in control of your own growth, your own quote-unquote evolution, right? And through him, you can overcome and totally discard the Most High, remove the Most High out of the equation. All right. Let's go to the book of Mark, the 5th chapter.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 5 and verse 1. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs. And no man could bind him, no, not with chains. Verse 4, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. Verse 6.
So what are we seeing here? I believe that's it, yeah? So what are we seeing here with this technology? This is, I get, you know, this is crazy every time I read this story, but as you can see here,
this sounds like the symptoms of so-called mental health medication.
Exactly.
With the side effects of suicidal thoughts.
Exactly. So not only on one level, one aspect of their quote-unquote technology through medicine, as they call it, is being used to cause people to go crazy and deal with demonic possession. It also shows you this whole idea of transhumanism, in which they're trying to give men superhuman strength, and particularly soldiers, military men. When you go back to Nazi Germany and back to Russia, it speaks about how they were trying to create a technology which can mix beasts like orangutans and monkeys and gorillas with men.
Sometimes truth may be stranger than fiction. An explosive allegation. Did Soviet scientists try to cross apes and humans to create an army of ape men?
Stalin was willing to do things that other people would cringe from doing.
Was such an abomination even possible?
There's nothing you could do with an ape-human hybrid. They'd rip your arm off.
In a region where real ape men may have existed.
So it's possible that a relict ancient human species didn't really go extinct.
She was just a big wild woman.
A strange find could turn science on its head.
This is the DNA results from the quit tooth.
It's a bizarre journey where ethical lines are blurred.
I have been called Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein.
Witnesses around the world report seeing monsters. Are they real or imaginary? Science searches for answers on Monster Quest.
To create soldiers who had strength like gorillas. Okay? So a lot of this same technology, when they speak about chimeras and all these different things in which they're trying to mix humans with animals, telling you that they can grow a human heart within a lamb or a pig. And convincing you that it's being used for health purposes and for the, I guess you would say, the embetterment of mankind. That's how they're introducing it to the low-level people so that the low-level people can accept it. And then they'll have a story of a little girl who had to have a heart surgery or heart replacement, that because this technology happened, which they were able to grow a human heart within a pig or a lamb or a cow, it saved this little girl's life. But what they're not telling you is that with this same technology, they're testing it on soldiers to try to create these so-called superhuman soldiers. All right? And if you can read here, going back, it says that
Verse 3.
In fact, verse 2, it tells you that this strength didn't come from the fact that he was dealing with some high level of technology or he was some kind of superhero. It was because he was dealing with an unclean spirit. A demon possessed him. So what do you think will be used in order to replicate this in modern times? It's not just the physical technology of the splicing and things of that nature. Once you succumb to this technology, you've given yourself over to a spirit. And that spirit will possess you and allow you to have these superhuman abilities. So if we go back to verse 3, read that again.
Verse 3. Who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him.
No man could bind him. Go ahead.
No, not with chains.
Not even with chains. Go ahead.
Because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains.
He was often bound with fetters and chains. Go ahead.
And the chains had been plucked asunder by him.
And he plucked the chains asunder. The chains had been plucked asunder by him. So he was able to break chains and all types of things. Through what? An unclean spirit. And brothers and sisters, it's no marvel that from a young age they've been indoctrinating us with this concept of superheroes. From a young age, we all desire to have some level of superhuman strength and ability. Being able to fly, being able to jump over a wall, being able to walk and run through fire, okay? Doing things that the normal person cannot do. And it's no marvel also that you had this woman, when speaking of some of this technology, I forget the exact platform, but she's speaking about this, I guess it was a tattoo, which you can place on yourself and it links with your DNA. And she said it gives you the abilities of superpowers.
Like one of them is the mechanical mismatch between humans and electronics, right? So electronics are boxy and rigid, humans are curvy and soft. That's a mechanical mismatch problem. Well, a researcher at the University of Illinois, his name is Dr. Rogers, what he discovered is that he could use standard CMOS techniques to make islands of high-performance silicon connected by accordion-like structures that would allow it to stretch up to 200% and still be performing. And what he did is he founded a company and they started making electronic tattoos. So I'm wearing one here on my arm.
Do we have a camera to get a...
This is a developmental system made by MC10, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication. Now, it may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. Right?
And that can have a design, right? Because
Sure.
they would certainly want some kind of cool design.
Options,
right?
options. And that's something that you wear, but you could also imagine including authentication in just your daily habits. So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
Vitamin authentication. Look, I have one right here. Well, here, I'll let you hold it. Would you like to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay. So this,
You guys see it?
this pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. It also has what amounts to an inside-out potato battery. When
Really
you
small.
swallow it, the acids in your stomach serve as the electrolyte,
That's what I do.
and they power it up, and the switch goes on and off. And it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes, this is true. Okay?
Okay, but
Okay, so wait. So it's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
So we're not shipping that right away.
Yeah, no. We're not shipping that right away.
Right.
And she says, I want those superpowers.
I think she was the head of Google or something.
Right, the head of, again, Google being attached to a lot of this demonic technology. But it's showing you, it's tying everything together to show you the indoctrination and the implication of this technology. So you're going to have a whole lot of people out there. You got all these comic book fans and all these people who deal in, you know, people who worship Star Wars and want the abilities of, what's the guy's name? Darth Vader, and, you know.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
The Jedis and you know, all types of stuff that people deal with. People want to deal with the Spider-Man thing, shooting webs up. All of this stuff will be promoted to those people in which they can say, we have some type of technology which can make you superhuman. And don't think this is possible. They're already talking about making children, designer babies. Before the baby is out the womb, you can decide what eye color you want, what skin complexion, how the hair is going to be, right? So now you can say, well, look, I want my child to come out. I love kittens. I love kittens since my youth. I want my child to come out with the attributes of a cat. And they'll be able to do this, okay? So there's no limit. Again, 10, 15 years ago, we would have sounded like kooks, but there's no limit right now. And as things are coming to the forefront, there's no limit to what these people can do with these technologies. But the key thing behind it is that when you see these things taking place, it's not going to be because, again, of just some technology. It's going to be because these people are possessed by demons. And it goes into the book of Revelations where it tells us that men are going to wish that they can die and will not be able to. Why? Because they're going to have all these forms of nanotechnology and all these different vaccines and all these things that they've implanted in themselves that's going to allow them to live longer and live through certain diseases, whether they are excruciating or no matter how excruciating they are, how painful they are. You're going to have to live through it and go through it because you wanted some technology that allowed you to endure sicknesses and to live longer. And I think that's why they drop in a lot of this stuff with the so-called zombie apocalypse. You're going to have all these people who had all these technologies injected within themselves, or themselves being infused with this technology, walking around, destroyed, demon-possessed, okay? And these are going to be the people who are now operating around the earth, okay? Along with the diseases they're putting out there. So there's so many elements that are being put out there to show what society will soon become. And again, it's not far-fetched. All right? Let's move on to the book of Revelations 14 and 9. Revelations 14 and 9 through 10.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
So this is the judgment for those who accept these satanic technologies. All right? This is the judgment. And you can, again, you can think we're kooks all you want. You go ahead and test the waters. Okay? If you don't believe that this technology is leading to the mark of the beast, or if it's the mark of the beast technology, go ahead and test the waters. Go ahead and get yourself a microchip. Go ahead and get the micro tattoo. All right. If you desire the superhuman strip, you got a lot of brothers and sisters who want the superpowers. They want the Most High to bless them with the power.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
So that they can destroy people. If you want those things, go take your shot with the technology. Okay? That's if you don't believe.
Hey, what is up guys? I'm KBHD here. We are back, and this is Google Glass. Now, something that a lot of people ask when, you go out and walk around with this thing on your face, a lot of people ask the same set of questions. One, what is glass? What is that thing on your face? Two, what does it do? And three, what does it look like while you're wearing it? What do you see through glass? So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look.
Meet me in front of Strand Books at 2. Oh man, really?
Hey there, guy. Hey there, little guy.
Sweet. Remind me to buy tickets for Monsieur Gano tonight.
All right. But what we're seeing, how we're seeing these things develop and how the scriptures explain it in exact detail, we are without shadow of doubt that not only is the technology satanic, but it's being used exactly for what the Bible tells us it's being used for. Okay? Now, moving on to the book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 31.
Judges chapter 3, verse 31. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel.
Right. So we don't need their technology to become quote unquote super soldiers and warriors. Through the Spirit of the Most High, you had Shamgar, the son of Anath, who slew 600 men with an ox goad. One man slaying 600 men with an ox goad. All right. So this is not something that we need to assimilate with in order to receive quote unquote spiritual power. All right. The Most High has the ability through the Holy Spirit to bless us with power to overthrow and overcome our enemies. All right. Moving on to the book of Psalms 18 and 32. Psalms 18:32.
It is the Most High that girdeth me with strength.
You see? It's the Most High that girdeth up us with strength. Okay? Not some bionic arms or some type of bionic leg or attaching yourself with some form of technology.
Prosthetic arms in the world of Deus Ex are much stronger than human arms, and they have more options. Meet Jason Henderson from West Virginia and Kieran McCammon from California.
Good afternoon. Standing in front of you, a Delta 6 accelerator suit.
The Delta 6 accelerator suit grants its wearer superior strength, speed, and agility.
It'll make you run faster, jump higher, and hit harder than any of your enemies.
Much like the always imitated but never replicated Iron Man suit, it boasts
twin gas-propelled grappling spears and triple explosive heat-seeking fire-and-forget rockets. My personal favorite, a 10mm caseless Gatling submachine gun.
as well as a useful onboard computer system that reacts conveniently to the wearer's thoughts.
You think it does it.
Or splicing yourself with some type of animal. Try to make yourself take on the nature and the strength of that animal. It's the Most High that gives us strength. Go ahead.
It is the Most High that girdeth me with strength, and maketh my way perfect.
And maketh my way perfect. You got a lot of people who want this technology to try to make themselves what they think is perfect. Plastic surgery and all types of things to make you stay younger for longer. All right, the carnal idea of perfection. But it says it's the Most High that maketh us perfect. If we serve the Most High will give us everlasting life. All right, go ahead.
He maketh my feet like hinds' feet.
He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, meaning swift. Go ahead.
And setteth me up on my high places.
Go ahead.
He teacheth my hands to war.
It's the Spirit of the Most High that teacheth our hands to war. He can teach us what they consider to be martial arts and self-defense.
You Ip Man? So you're the best fighter in China. Yeah, you see. Okay, let's deal. Seems to me that your Wing Chun fist fastest. Wi-Fi platform. Let's see who fists are the fastest. Yours or mine? Champanjon. You laugh like that? Or Fungole.
Totally through the Spirit. Okay? So it don't have to be like what they showed on the Matrix, something being downloaded into you from some form of technology.
Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to learn Jiu-Jitsu. Mikey, I think he likes it. I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
In order to give you the ability to operate in what they call a metaphysical or superhuman level. All of these things can be achieved through the Spirit of the Most High. Go ahead.
He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms.
Right, so that's the superhuman strength the Most High can bless us with. All right, breaking a bow of steel with your arm. All right, that's spirit. That's true spiritual power that you don't need no form of demonic technology to achieve. Go ahead.
Verse 35. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand have holden me up, and thy gentleness hath made me great.
Right. Let's move on to 1 Kings 18 and 44. Go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 18, verse 44. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot, and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. And it came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain, and Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Most High was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel.
So the Most High gave Elijah, in order for Elijah to deliver a message to Ahab, he gave him the ability to run as quick as a horse. Read that again.
Verse 44.
In fact, from verse 45.
And it came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Most High was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel.
Right, so he beat Ahab's chariot to the city of Jezreel, simply on foot. All right. And again, just a display of how the Most High, through his spirit, when he puts his hand upon us, his spirit and his power upon us, we can perform things that are above, quote unquote, human ability. And through seeing this, I can almost see how Satan will begin to implement some of these technologies in the sports arenas. All right, you'll have a story of somebody in track and field, or some type of athlete who may have lost their leg, and their dreams were shattered, and now through some form of new bionic technology, you can attach a new leg, and now he's running faster than ever. Now the other athletes can't compete, so now all the other athletes want some form of technology. And now everyone who seeks to now be a part of the professional leagues is going to need some form of technology to compete. All right. You can see how every facet of society, they're going to introduce some level of technology in which any demographic of people, any and every demographic of people will desire to have these technologies. Okay. And you're noticing again, they're blending or blurring the lines between what's a person and what's a machine or what's not. What can be considered human? How much animal can someone have in them before they're considered an animal? How much robotics can someone have within them before they can be considered a full robot? There's no marvel or no coincidence why they're starting to ask these questions. They're putting these things out there so that now laws can be introduced to now determine that when these things are introduced, there's a certain level of animal you can be to still be considered a person. There's a certain level of technology and robotics that can be implemented within you before you are considered a full robot. Okay? 1 Kings 18:44. Oh, we just read that, right? Revelations 12 and 12.
Revelations chapter 12 and verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
Jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17.
So Satan knows he has a short time to perform his overall plan, which is to what? To be like the Most High. And to overthrow the Most High. Right? So who is his target in this mission. Go ahead. Verse 17.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High, and have the testimony of Yeshua Christ.
Right. So this is the ultimate target of Satan's plan. Those who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Christ. All right. Let's jump down to the book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 1.
The book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 1. Now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. And a certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple.
So check out the wisdom of the Most High. You have a situation in which you have a man which was lame, which we would call today handicap. And it says that he laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple. So why is it wise for the Most High to have this man healed? Everyone who walked in the temple and out of the temple daily seen him lame and knew that he was lame. So now once the healing process came in which he would be healed of his lameness, then everyone could bear witness that at one point this man could not walk. And after these men of God, the apostles, healed him, he can now walk. So now the Most High is glorified. Okay. Verse 3.
Who, seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked an alms. And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, Look on us. And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them.
Right. So when Peter said, look, this man was expecting silver. He was expecting money, alms. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Then Peter said, Silver and gold have I none.
Peter said, I don't have any money for you. Go ahead.
But such as I have, give I thee.
But such as I have, give I thee. Which is what? Spiritual healing. Go ahead.
In the name of Yeshua, the anointed of Nazareth, rise up and walk.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. And he took him by the right hand and lifted him up, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he, leaping up, stood and walked, and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising the Most High.
Right. So all these people who had once saw him lame, now he's walking and leaping and jumping for joy to the Most High as a testament to those people who were in the temple. All right. Now, the reason why we're bringing this out is to show you that the Most High, we are to depend on the Most High for our healing. But again, what Satan is doing is he's, with his technology, performing false miracles and deceiving men, making us believe that in order to receive healing, we must depend on his technology. All right. So if you're handicapped, you don't have to deal with some technology they dealt with through stem cell research or some type of research they did to try to attach you to their beast demonic technology. Okay, giving you a bionic leg. You don't need that. The Spirit of the Most High has the power to heal you and relieve you of your sicknesses, your ailments, whether you're deaf, blind, lame, so on and so forth. All of these things can be healed through the spiritual power of the Most High. And it seems like we're preaching to the choir. All of us know this and understand this, but you have to understand that the time we're going into, when all of these things are no longer available, and people are in dire straits and dire situations, there's no telling what people will do in order to receive immediate results and immediate relief. So a person who's sitting amongst us and believes that the Most High has the power of healing, and they fall into a situation in which either themselves or someone they love needs immediate healing, then opposed to waiting for the Most High, they'll say, man, forget it. I've been praying, I've been hoping, I've been wishing, and nothing has happened. Let me go down to Satan and one of his scientists. Let me get the beast technology and everything it has to offer, whether it be a new leg, a new hand, a new this, a new that, right? This is what happens when people fall into uncomfortable, dire, stressful situations. So we have to always keep these things in mind. And when these things do take place, because they will, remember this lesson as we're telling it to you. All right? Allow this thing to come into your mind and know the judgment for accepting this technology, which is eternal hell. And even before the Most High brings the judgment, you're going to be going through so much pain and hell in your living existence that you're going to wish you didn't take it anyway. Okay? Organs failing, things not working right. You got a horrible disease in you. Bird flu, swine flu, whatever they let loose on the people. And instead of you being able to be healed, because you got this so-called nanotechnology, which is supposed to fight off the disease and help you live longer, you now have to deal with all the stress of that sickness and the pain of it, to the point you're going to wish that you can die and will not be able. Okay? You're going to cry and say, God, allow the rocks and the mountains to fall upon us. Okay? Because you're going to be in so much dreadful pain. But again, remember this lesson in those future situations, because they will be presented before you. Revelations 13:7. And we're coming to a close. We want to have a few more before we close out.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
You see that? Again, everyone, and we mean everyone, will be put in a position in which they will be forced to bow down to the serpent, to Satan. And for a lot of people, it's not going to be forced. For some people, it's going to be voluntary, because they're going to see that this technology and what he's bringing forth can, quote unquote, embedded their lives. It has something to offer for them. So through either force or people who will voluntarily accept these things, you will all have your opportunity and your chance to submit to Satan's global plan and agenda. All right. So it says it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Go ahead.
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him.
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. They dropped that in that new series, Childhood's End.
My name is Karelin. I am the supervisor for Earth. Under our supervision, you will all flourish here. Peace, health, security for everyone.
Why are you here?
We need a messenger between the overlords and Earth. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I want to see who I'm talking to.
The overlords talk about peace, but this is an invasion.
Look at the good here. There is no war, no disease.
I would rather the world went down under our control and flourished under theirs.
You've never wanted what's best for us.
There's no need to be afraid.
They want to destroy us.
This is not about us. This is about the whole damn world.
Tell them the truth about what you really are.
In which the whole world was accepting Satan unto the end.
Right.
Okay? Even when it was seen that he was demonic his agenda was a demonic agenda, they still held their faith in Satan.
Right.
Okay?
And if I can add something to that too,
Yeah, go ahead.
with the whole earth
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that, the topic is the mark of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
People assume the so-called third world, which is places like India, Africa, okay, these parts of the earth are labeled third world, and the technology, the infrastructure is already in place, like the internet and all these other technologies.
Mm-hmm.
It's already in place in these countries, in these parts of the earth, to some extent even more advanced than so-called Western countries.
Exactly. Because with these third world countries, a lot of people sometimes think that, well, these places, even though it is true with some of these places, you'll be able to find some level of refuge from some of the technologies for a little while. But the honest to God truth, and we've seen this through experience in some of our travels, that the technology is being brought forth in many different ways. It may not be the same way that it's being introduced to America, but because these countries are third world and they want to be a part of the quote unquote American New World experience, they will willingly accept certain technologies that the Western world will kind of be iffy about. Like, we don't want something that's going to scan our eyes and things of that nature just yet. But these third world countries, because they want to be zoomed up to speed, and they want to get ahead of the ball when it comes to some of this technology, they will willingly accept things that the Western world won't. And they showed that a few years ago with India, where hundreds of people were going and getting fingerprint scans and iris scans for this new identification technology. Okay, in Africa and these other places, they're putting technology in place that you wouldn't believe exists.
Right, like Nigeria, they don't have individual bank cards anymore. You get a national government ID card with biometrics. Then you go to your bank with your card and you link your account to the card. So for now, okay, for those who are in Nigeria, just to clarify, that isn't the mark of the beast, but it's that stepping stone leading to the mark of the beast, where everything is moving into one account: banking and identification.
Exactly. And again, we've seen this in our travels, how they're using this technology on many different levels in these so-called developing countries.
Right.
Going back here to Revelations 13 and 8, huh?
Right. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are... Why would the tormented souls in Hades only look forward to the judgment of the lake of fire?
Let's get the scriptures on it. Let's go to the book of Revelations, chapter 20. And let's start at verse 11 down to 15.
And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away. And there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before the Most High. And the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works.
So the dead, this is now going in fact, let's start up a little bit further, where it speaks about the blessed are those who
verse 6.
Yes, blessed and yes, that's it, verse 6.
Revelations chapter 20, verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power.
So it says, blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection, because why? On such the second death have no power. The question is, what is the second death? The second death is what we were just reading beginning in verse 11. So let's jump back down to verse 12.
Verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before the Most High, and the books were opened.
And the books were opened. Go ahead.
And another book was opened, which is the book of life.
And another book was opened, which was the book of life. Go ahead.
And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books.
So the dead were written or judged based on those things which were written in the books. These are people who did not make it on the first trip. Okay? Go ahead.
According to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it. Go ahead.
And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works.
And they were judged every man according to their works. Go ahead.
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
This is the second death. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
So whosoever was not found of that demographic, was not written in the book of life, was cast into the lake of fire. So when all are given up for judgment, when you're judged out of those books, if you don't meet the requirement, you will be cast into the lake of fire. Okay? All those who are judged out of those books, if they're not found in the book of life, in that second judgment, they will be cast into the lake of fire. All right? Next question.
Next question. Someone says, children.
And also, when you get the chance, look at that information we went into last week, showing what happens to those who die on the wrong side of the Most High. Because it tells you, when we read those scriptures out of the Apocrypha, the extra 70 scriptures, that those, one of the 7 ways that are showed unto those who are taken into torments is what? The only thing they have to look forward to is being cast into the lake of fire. Why? Because their works were weighed in a balance, and it's their works, their actions, that determine their judgment. Okay? Let's get that real quick in the book of 2nd Esdras. Second Esdras, I believe, 15. In fact, 16. Second Esdras 16 and 65.
And when your sins are brought forth, ye shall be ashamed before men, and your own sins shall be your accusers in that day.
Right, your own sins shall be your accusers in that day. So what will happen in that great day of judgment is that your sins will be your accuser. So those who have done wrong and wrought wickedness and evil upon the earth, when they're raised, what will happen? They will know exactly why they went into torment and why they will be cast into everlasting damnation. Why? Because their sins will be their accusers. Verse 66.
Verse 66. For what will ye do? Or how will ye hide your sins before the Most High and his angels? Behold, the Most High himself is the judge. Fear him. Leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities.
Right. So the time we have to repent and change and do right is the time we have here on earth. All right. So this is why those who are raised in that second death have little to no shot of getting into the kingdom. Okay. You have something?
Just one more. Still in 2nd Esdras 9 and 13. And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created.
Right. So this is our key focus: how the righteous shall be saved, and not how the wicked shall be judged. All right. So moving on to Kota Joka. Salakia if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
It says our kids, I'm going to say our children, find these videos hard to follow. Would it be possible to do some generic classes to explain Bible stories such as Jonah and the whale, Wars of Jericho, Noah, etc.? It would be a good pathway for children to learn Bible stories with their correct breakdown to WADA.
Right. And we have for a long time have been thinking about some form of children's academy. That may possibly happen in the, I guess you would say, the unforeseeable future. We don't want to put anything out there and get people's hopes up,
Right.
So, but it is something we have been looking for, in which we can bring the information, which is a little bit more suitable for children. But a lot of the learning that children will receive will begin at home. So what you can do is you can create little lessons for your children, little presentations, and things of that nature that will be educational, but at the same time, some form of entertainment for the children, in which they can learn the Bible and, link in with it at the same time. I guess you would say, you can keep their attention the same time you're teaching them the Bible. All right. And of course, there's a lot of things out there you can get. There's like children's puzzles that are based on the Bible, and coloring books based on the Bible. But a lot of it has like the false images and a lot of, false Christian connotations, idols and things of that nature that may be not suitable if you're trying to raise your child the right way. But there are little things that are good that you can go into and try to get for your children. But if all fails, these are things that starts at home with the family, making lessons and things of that nature for the children to get them acclimated with the Bible.
Someone said, why do we have to wait 3 months to be baptized? Is this what the disciples did when they baptized? I tune into Sabbath classes every week. I attend the academy. I bought multiple calendars and donated. I recently had a newborn baby that cries often, and it is difficult to make it to the church every week. Where's the love in that? Haven't you guys baptized people and they still gone astray? Yeshua knew he was going to.
Okay, and that's a very good question, and we do understand your concern. Okay, and of course, I don't know if you understand, but there are certain scenarios in which, in a case-by-case situation, we do take in consideration some of the things that people go through, and we process that, or we add that into the process, and we have that in mind when it comes to baptizing individuals. Okay, but the reason why we put a process in place to make sure that people learn amongst us for at least 3 months is not to suppress people and keep people from being baptized. All right, let's get Hebrews, the 13th chapter. All right. The overall mission of this church is not just to put people in the water and just leave them be. For every person we put in the water, we want to try to ensure that we are able to build them and maintain them and help them, give them the keys of salvation so that they can walk into the kingdom of heaven. That's the overall mission of a shepherd and a bishop, to give people the keys to salvation and help them walk into the kingdom of heaven and be found right in the day of judgment. Okay? And again, we don't have problems with baptizing people. We've baptized many people in a situation in which we haven't had much time to spend with them. But at the same time, based on certain experiences that we've had in the past, we've had to make sure we put in an organized process to make sure we at least know the people we place in the water.
Right.
Okay? Hebrews 13 and verse 17.
Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy, and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you.
Right. So everyone who we're placed in a shepherding position with, we become responsible for the souls of these people. So that if we cause someone to stumble or we do something that doesn't prepare people properly for the kingdom of heaven, the Most High can pull that up against us in the day of judgment. So there's a lot that comes into factor when we're dealing with placing people in the water. All right. It's not as just baptizing you and say, go ahead about your business. It's baptizing you and making sure that we try to keep you in the fold, keep you in the body, make sure you have what you need in order to be found right in the day of judgment. Okay. Now, again, we do have case-by-case situations in which, yes, there are situations like yours in which you may have not been amongst a physical body for 3 months, but we can take that into consideration and say, you know what, we can baptize you. But we can't, what we can't do is make extreme situations, the exceptions, the norm. Okay, because that totally defers and deters the whole process. Okay, there's a reason, and I understand that there's certain things we put in place, and people may not understand it at the very moment. But it's not until you actually come into some level of position of leadership and things of that nature when you start to see, you know what, when I was a student and I didn't understand certain things, I thought this was superfluous. This is just extra. Why are these things needed? But when you're now dealing with a multitude of people, thousands upon thousands of people, and dealing with people's issues, people's problems, and now you're trying to work with people and be patient and deal with all these different things that come with leadership. Okay, as well as a leader having to deal with your own salvation. You got to work out your own salvation. Because we're leaders, don't mean we have a guaranteed entrance into the kingdom. We have to work out our own salvation in the midst of trying to prepare brothers and sisters for salvation. So we have to do everything possible in our power to make sure that not only do we make it a process which is beneficial for you as a student, as a member of the body, but also for us who are in leadership. Okay.
The next one, Shalom, Elder. What you teaching me and my family are going through, because most of them are not in this truth. They believe that medicine technology can save my mom. She's in the hospital. They tell her to get a dialysis and blood transfusion due to her kidney failure. My mom believes on the Most High, so she refused it, and the family is upset about it.
Okay.
Next one says, can you explain how does the Spirit beareth witness in Romans 8:16?
Let's get Romans 8:16.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High.
Right. In order to understand this, you have to read the book of Romans, really the whole chapter 8, and going back a few chapters to understand what Paul is speaking about concerning the Spirit. Let's start at verse 2.
Romans 8 and verse 2.
In fact, verse 1.
Romans 8 and 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Yeshua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
So now this is dealing with those who walk after the Spirit, not those who walk after the flesh. Go ahead.
For the law of the Spirit of life is in Christ Yeshua, have made me free from the law of sin and death.
So the law of the Spirit and life in Christ have made us free from the law of sin and death. Go ahead.
For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the Most High sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemns sin in the flesh.
Right. So what the law could not do, what was it that the law could not do? It could not redeem us from our sins unto death. Okay? We as Israel began dealing with sins that were unto death, and according to the law, you cannot be redeemed for those things. You were to be put to death. So for what the law could not do, which is redeem us unto everlasting life, the Most High sent forth his only begotten Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. Okay, so he condemned sin, which allowed us to receive a new chance in repentance before the Father. So now even those things we did that were unto death, we can repent for. Okay, verse 4.
That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us.
So that the righteousness of the law can be fulfilled in us,
who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
Who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. So only those who walk in the Spirit can fulfill the righteousness of the law, which is described in the book of Galatians, the 5th chapter, which are the fruits of the Spirit. Now jumping over to verse 5, let's see, 13 to be good.
Romans chapter 8, verse 13. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of the Most High, they are the sons of the Most High.
So as many as are led by the Spirit of God, meaning the Holy Spirit, they are the sons of God. So it's not just enough to be an Israelite. You must be an Israelite that's led by the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, as Christ was, as the apostles were. Go ahead.
Verse 15. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear.
Right. So the Most High didn't send us the spirit of bondage again unto fear. Go ahead.
But ye have received the spirit of adoption.
But we received the spirit of adoption because we were cut off. The Most High no longer claimed us as a nation. We were bastards in the Most High's eye. Go ahead.
Whereby we cry, Abba, Father.
Now we receive the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. So through the Spirit of the Most High, we become sons of God, and God becomes our Father. Go ahead.
Verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit.
So the Spirit itself, the Holy Spirit, beareth witness with our spirit. Go ahead.
That we are the children of the Most High.
That we are the children of the Most High. How does it bear witness? When we walk in the Spirit and not after the flesh. So the Spirit begins to bear witness with us when we walk after the Spirit and not after the flesh. And it bears witness that we are the sons of God. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And if children, then heirs.
And if children, then heirs. Go ahead.
Heirs of the Most High, and joint heirs with Yeshua.
And joint heirs with Christ. So once we become heirs, once we walk in the spirit of life and newness of life, we become children. And if we're children, we become heirs. Heirs of what? The promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I always say this, that we as Israel have not received anything. No promises are guaranteed to us just off the basis of being Israelites. All of those promises from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were promised to Christ. And it's only through Christ that we as Israel receive the promises. So it's not the other way around. It's not that Christ received it because he was an Israelite. Okay? Christ received it because it was promised unto him, and we as Israelites only receive it through Christ. Okay? So again, if children, then heirs. Christ was a child of the Most High, the son of the Most High, therefore he is an heir. And joint heirs with Christ. Why? Because Christ is the only one who received those promises, and those who he have guaranteed the promises to, such as the apostles. When the Son of Man shall come again in the regeneration, you shall sit upon 12 thrones of God, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. They were promised entrance into the kingdom. Elijah, Moses, the fathers, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 12 patriarchs, they were promised entrance into the kingdom. Esdras, promised entrance into the kingdom. So these are people who have become joint heirs with Christ. We, as Israelites, are fighting to become joint heirs with Christ. All right? So, but to get back to your original question, the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit when we walk in the Spirit and not after the flesh. Okay? And there's more. When you get the chance, please read the book of Romans, mainly the whole 8th chapter, and it'll clear up some of that understanding. Okay? We'll take a few more questions. Will the last war occur is mentioned. We got your question, Adrian. We have your question, so you don't have to post your question anymore. Please leave it open for those who others who have questions. But to answer your question, will the war occur is mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It says an enemy from Chittim or Kittim will come up against those in the wilderness. I'm referring to the war scroll. And yes, some of the information in the Dead Sea Scrolls concerning the last war, the final impending battle, will take place. All right, next one.
Next one here is, in the Ascension of Isaiah, let's go pretty quick.
Right,
it states, in the Ascension of Isaiah, it states that Christ was crucified before the Sabbath. Is this correct?
And the Ascension of Isaiah says Christ was crucified before the Sabbath. Is this correct? And there's two things. All right. Number one, when it comes to some of these records, again, we let brothers and sisters know that even though there is some good information in some of these records, you cannot go upon everything that is found in these records. Now, to ask the question is as to whether Christ was crucified on the Sabbath or not, the answer is yes. He was crucified on the Sabbath, the Passover. Okay. Let's go to the book. In fact, what you can do actually, so we don't have to go into a full, because I'm saying that in order to go into this, we'll have to go into a full 15-minute thing within itself, just to relay this information. So what you can do is you can go back to the lessons we've done on the true understanding of how the Passover was served. And as a matter of fact, during the Passover, that information will be covered as far as Christ, when he was crucified, and how those chains of events took place. Okay?
Next one. Someone here, can you please cover what we are supposed to do and not supposed to do during fasting and Sabbath?
Okay, what are we to do and not to do during fasting and the Sabbath? Let's go to Matthew, the 6th chapter first, to deal with the fasting. And just one moment here. We're going to finish the rest of these questions. The last one was, what are we to do and not to do when praying in the Sabbath, or fasting in the Sabbath? Salakia. Let's get on Matthew, the 6th chapter.
Verse 16. Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites.
So now Christ is instructing us on how to fast. He says, when we fast, be not as the hypocrites. Go ahead.
Of a sad countenance.
Of a sad countenance. That means walking around looking dismayed and confused, like you haven't eaten in 6 days. Right? And the reason why it does that is because, the reason why it says that is because you had those of our nation who, when they would fast, you would go out in public and you would look sad and sobbish and throw ashes upon your head, so on and so forth. That was an ancient practice. But Christ says, when you fast, be not of a sad countenance. Because some people do it just so someone can ask them a question. You know, brother, why are you looking sad? You know, you okay? Oh, man, I'm just fasting, man. been down for a few hours. I haven't eaten in a few hours. It's not even days yet. It's just been a few hours. So Christ says, don't do that. Why? Go ahead.
For they disfigure their faces.
They disfigure their faces. They throw ashes upon their heads. They do all types of things. Don't wash their face. Okay, look filthy. Why? To draw attention. Go ahead.
That they may appear unto men to fast.
That they may appear unto men to fast. So the whole purpose of this is not for the sake of them actually feeling the physical repercussions of not eating. They do it because they want to appear unto men to fast. They want men to know that they're fasting and for men to look at them as something spiritual. Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
So Christ says they have their reward. What is their reward? Appearing unto men as spiritual. That's your reward. Men being able to look at you and say, oh, he must be dealing in the spirit. Look at him, he's fasting. You can see it in his face. That's your reward. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 17. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head.
When you fast, anoint your head, meaning anoint or moisturize your head. Go ahead.
And wash thy face.
And wash your face.
That thou appear not unto men to fast.
That you appear not unto men to fast. Go ahead.
But unto thy Father, which is in secret.
But unto your Father, which is in secret. Only the Most High should know when you're fasting. And of course, if you're in a relationship, the Most High, or it tells us in the New Testament, I believe, was it 1 Corinthians? Just to check, where Paul says, when you separate from your partner, make sure it's in, 1 Corinthians 7, where it says, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife have not power over her body, her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband have not power over his body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time. So if you're going to fast, of course you're not going to publish it and advertise it to the whole world. But if you're in a relationship and you have those in your household, such as your wife and things of that nature, and vice versa, the wife dealing with her husband, it's okay to let them know that I'm going to be separate for a little bit. I'm going to be fasting. So these are the limits I'm putting in place. Okay? There's nothing wrong with doing that. Your other half should know when you're fasting so that they don't breach the line that you're trying to set forth and that connection you're trying to make. Okay? So that when they, when they're trying to deal with certain things and trying to embrace you, you don't, just be standoffish and they don't know what's going on. Okay? Let your other half know, okay, babe, I'm going to fast. Let me, these are the parameters I'm setting forth. I'm not going to be really eating and drinking, and we're going to abstain from certain levels of embracing. Okay? Go ahead.
That thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret.
But unto your Father which is in secret. Go ahead.
And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
Right. So the reward for fasting will be given to you openly if you do it in secret. So that's a level of what you're supposed to do when fasting. All right. Now, some people ask us, how long should I fast? What should I do on my fast? That's between you and the Most High. So if you're established with the Most High that you're going to do a 3-day fast, then that's something you establish with the Most High. And you don't break that covenant. Okay? If you're going to fulfill it, if you're going to say it, fulfill it. And then you have to know what you're fasting for. Are you fasting for revelation? Are you fasting to clean your body out spiritually? You have to know why you're fasting. Because you can fast for those 3 days and still be dealing with issues you're trying to cleanse. Okay? So you have to set in your mind that, okay, I'm going to fast for this period, three days. I'm going to come off, do another 3 days, another 2 days, whatever the case may be. You have to know what you're fasting for. Okay? When it comes to the Sabbath, let's get Isaiah, the
Sabbath tonight.
58, okay? And then we'll get what Christ mentioned as far as doing good on the Sabbath. Is it 58? Let me see that. Okay, that goes into the fasting. In fact, let's read this also. Isaiah 58 and 3. Then we're going to get the one for the Sabbath.
Isaiah 58 and 3. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure.
Right, so they're asking the question, or the Most High is asking the question, wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? So why is it that we're fasting and you're not acknowledging our fast? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Why is it that we afflict our souls through fasting and you don't acknowledge it? Now the Most High is going to explain why he doesn't acknowledge certain fasts. Where?
Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure.
In the day of your fast you find pleasure. You're still doing your own will. Okay? You're dealing in activity you're not supposed to. You're dealing with your own acquaintance. When fasting is a separation from not only a physical separation through food, but also a spiritual separation. Okay, so you're trying to abstain from many different things and try your best to connect to the Most High during the time of your fast. But it says in our fast, our forefathers, it said we found pleasure in the day of our fast. Go ahead.
And exact all your labors.
And you exact all your labors. You do all of your own acquaintance. Here it is, you're trying to connect to the Most High, but yet you're exacting your labors. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 4. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate.
Ye fast for strife and debate. That's the sole purpose of your fasting, strife and debate. I'm more spiritual than you because I'm fasting. Or you're fasting to receive some level of revelation that you can use against someone else. I'm fast. Most of them give me the scripture. I'm going to be able to cut him so bad. Okay? That's the reason why people sometimes fast. They want to feel like they got some type of spiritual power in a time in which they're trying to go against a brother or sister. All right? And going back to when it says you exact all your labors, that means you're now collecting money, making exact on your labors in the time of your fast. All right? Back then you had servants and things of that nature and those who you lend it to. All right? So if you lend it to someone, then the Bible says forgive debts. But in this case, you got somebody not forgiving debts, trying to connect with the Most High, but at the same time exacting everything they gave out, everything they lent. Okay? So the Most High is showing us the error of our ways. Even when we're trying to be spiritual, we still find carnality and wickedness within that. Go ahead.
Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as you do this day.
Right. So no longer are you going to fast like this. This is why Christ had to give us the new way of fasting, how to deal with fasting. Go ahead.
To make your voice to be heard on high.
To make your voice to be heard on high. To proclaim your fast before men. I'm fasting. Everyone should know. I'm going to disfigure my face. I'm going to put ashes on my head. I'm not going to clean myself. I'm not going to brush my teeth. All right. I'm going to do everything in my power to declare before men that I'm not eating food. Why? Because they got to see that I'm spiritual. Right? Verse 5.
Is it such a fast that I have chosen?
Is it a fast that I've chosen? The Most High didn't choose for you to do so. That wasn't his plan when he told us to fast. Okay, go ahead.
A day for a man to afflict his soul.
Go ahead.
Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush?
Is it to bow down your head as a bulrush? Go ahead.
And to spread sackcloth and ashes under him.
To spread sackcloth and ashes under him. Even though that was a custom, it became a thing to do for show. Okay? Dealing with sackcloth and ashes. Go ahead.
Wilt thou call this a fast?
Are you going to call that a fast?
And an acceptable day to the Most High.
And an acceptable day to the Most High. And we had a chief fast day, which was what? The Day of Atonement. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Is not this the fast that I have chosen?
This is the fast that the Most High chose. Go ahead.
To loose the bands of wickedness.
To loose the bands of wickedness.
to undo the heavy
To
burdens,
undo the heavy burdens.
and to let the oppressed go free,
To let the oppressed go free.
and that ye break every yoke.
And that ye break every yoke. This is what the Most High looks for in a fast. Okay, go ahead.
It is not to deal thy bread to the hungry.
Is it not to deal your bread to the hungry? Go ahead.
And that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house.
Mm-hmm.
When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him.
Mm-hmm.
And that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh.
Right. So part of that spiritual disconnection and that physical disconnection to a degree is also having a disconnection to your own, for your own life and your own pleasure and your own, what you consider to be your valuables. Okay? Those things are also to be released through a fast. You're trying to release spirits, you're trying to release physical desires, but at the same time, you also want to try to release those attachments you have to this physical realm. All right? Giving away your bread, giving away clothing to those who are in need. All right? These are the things that are acceptable unto the Most High in a fast. Okay? Let's get last one. Let's get the one on the Sabbath, calling the Sabbath a delight. Let me see. Is it 56? Let me see here. One moment. All right, let me see if I can find this here. $58. Okay. So I think that's the one we just came from, right?
Right. 13.
58 and 13. Go ahead.
If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Most High, honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure.
Right. So like it. So when it says, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, your foot meaning your own works, your own will. Go ahead.
From doing thy pleasure on my holy day.
From doing thy pleasure on my holy day. This is the whole purpose of the Sabbath. Go ahead.
And call the Sabbath a delight.
And call a Sabbath a delight. You have some people who say, man, I can't wait for that sun to go down so I can indulge myself in my lust, right? And call the Sabbath a delight. Go ahead.
The holy of the Most High, honorable.
The holy of the Most High, honorable, because the Sabbath is an honorable day. We're remembering the day that the Most High finished all his works, his great works in creation. So it's a day of honor. Go ahead.
And shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways.
Not doing your own ways.
Nor finding thine own pleasure.
Not finding thine own pleasure. Go ahead.
Nor speaking thine own words.
Nor speaking thine own words. Go ahead.
Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Most High, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Most High hath spoken it.
Right, exactly. Now some people may ask, how can we accomplish this? Should we just sit in the corner and, wait until the sun goes down? And the answer is no. The Most High says, make his Sabbath a delight. So when you look at for example, the holidays of this world, when they used to come around, you have to remember some of the things that made you attached to those holidays, to where they were a delight unto you. Where every year you looked at those things and said, man, I can't wait for this to come up. You're looking at the calendar, counting down days. Man, Thanksgiving is coming. Man, Christmas is coming. You have to look at some of those things, the spiritual things, the good aspect, the family coming together, food and certain activities you would do, spiritual activities you would do amongst the family. Look at those things and apply those things to the Sabbath so that you can look forward to the Sabbath the same way you used to look forward to those satanic holidays. Okay? You have to make the Sabbath a delight. It's not, nobody's going to do that for you. You have to find ways with yourself and your family to make your Sabbath something pleasurable and a delight that you all look forward to every week. Okay? And of course, it is to be kept in the form of spiritual activity.
Right.
Okay? I'm not saying come together with the family and have a basketball game or something like that. Come together with the family. If you have children, pull out the, you have puzzles and things of that nature. Just little things, okay? Pull out a chessboard or something like that. Sit down and discuss scriptures. Put on some spiritual music, okay? Make a meal that you usually don't make, okay? Or prepare a meal before the Sabbath, going into the Sabbath, that you usually don't make throughout the year. Because on Thanksgiving, one thing we've enjoyed in the States is that during that time of year, you had food that you could not get during any other time of the year. So for the Sabbath, try to do something creative like, okay, I'm going to make a meal for the Sabbath and the preparation of the Sabbath that we usually don't have. Let me make something special.
Right.
Something we look forward to from week to week. Make it something desirable for you and your family. Okay? Okay.
Is that the last one then?
Mm-hmm.
Great lesson. Just wanted to say that
I think someone had one here, and we'll just summarize the question here or the answer. Could you explain Romans 14?
Okay. Could you please explain Romans 14, 1 through 21 on unclean food and scriptures on this issue in the New Testament?
All right, two things. Just to summarize, Romans 14 and 1 is not dealing with unclean foods in the sense of a pig, rabbit, and things of that nature. It's dealing with unclean food in the sense of food that has been offered unto idols. So this is a food, it could be a lamb, it could be a cow, so on and so forth, but because it was offered unto an idol, you had those who were weak in their conscience towards it. So because they were weak in their conscience, they decided to abstain from meat, period, and decided to only eat herbs. So those who ate all things were those who ate food, which was meat as well as vegetables. And then you have those who abstained from meat. Why? Because they were afraid of eating meat sacrificed unto idols. It had nothing to do with pigs and things of that nature, and lobster and any other thing that people consider delicacy. And we have to get this idea out of our mind. Like even when we see the word food and eat, we have to get pig, shrimp, crab, and lobster out of our mind.
Right.
Food is that which is given unto us for nourishment. What did the Most High set as food in Scripture? Well, the Most High had a dietary law to separate what was clean from unclean.
Right.
So a pig is not really food. It don't matter how much you season it, fry it, bake it, roast it, grill it. It's not food. Why? Because it was not suitable. It was never suitable for nourishment. Lobster is not food. Why? Because it was not created for nourishment, nor suitable for nourishment or consumption. Food is that which is suitable for nourishment and consumption. What did the Most High make suitable for nourishment and consumption? You read about it in the dietary law of the Bible. Anything outside of that, regardless of how much of a delicacy it is not food. Okay? So I say that to say that when you think of food, get those things out of your mind. They're not food. They're abominations. Lamb is food. Vegetables is food. Beef, food. Okay? Goat, food. Pig, abomination. All right? But what you can do is you can go to our website. We have a section dedicated totally to clean and unclean animals. And we have a breakdown of scriptures such as Romans 14. So that we don't have to go through the whole breakdown. Okay? Last but not least.
Elijah Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Shalom, brothers. Great lesson. Just wanted to say that I've been praying for you all and pray that it's the Most High's will that I will be able to connect with GOCC. Keep preaching the truth with boldness.
May all praises be to the Most High in Christ, the Holy Spirit, and may you continue to stay linked in and learn. Okay, we know it's hard for a lot of you. We're working on a lot of things to try to build a more organized structure, which will be better for brothers and sisters who come into the body. And yes, keep us in your prayers, and we will keep you in our prayers. All right. Last but not least, just to give an announcement, the calendars are available for order. And what you can do is go to our website, gatheringofchrist.org, to get details on how to order a calendar. Okay? And these calendars can be ordered directly from the website. So you don't necessarily have to send an email. If you want to order calendars, whether you're trying to order 1 calendar or 100 calendars, go to our website, and it has a form you can fill out to order those calendars. All right? And as well as the information of the cost and things of that nature. So go to our website again, gatheringofchrist.org, and go to where it says, I believe, pre-order. In fact, let me get the exact wording. Okay, calendar shop. Okay, I'm gonna put the link in the chat so you all can see it. Calendar shop. And again, whether you're ordering 1 or 100, please go to this section that I'm about to paste in the chat and the website. All right, there we go. Right.
So it's gathering of. I'm gonna type it in, right?
Yeah, Gathering of Christ, calendar 2016. And I'll just paste this in the chat. So that's the place where you can order your calendars from the website. And again, I mean, this thing is aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful to the eyes. It's something you really will enjoy. And on top of that, we'll provide you the true information as far as the holy days and when they are to be celebrated, which is a very important thing. Okay, so please look into ordering one of these calendars. All the information you need is here. All the information you need to fill out as far as state, country, everything you would need to have this stuff shipped to you, as well as the number of calendars that are needed, is in this form that you can fill out. And with this, we're going to kick off so-called 2016, 2017 the right way. Okay. So with that, I'm going to say bless you all and shalom. Yes, also the new academy will begin April 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. April 3rd. And with this new academy, what we're doing is we're revamping the lessons. So for those who have been in the past academies, I know for a long time we've been mentioning of adding certain things, but for this academy, we're definitely going to be revamping the academy lessons. So it should be a treat even for those who have been in the academy from time to time. But anyway, if anyone has been in the academy from time to time, we know that the information is always taught in the way in which the Spirit leads it, in which new information may be brought out from academy to academy. So there's a 12-week lesson, and at the end of the 12-week course, after the 12 weeks, we have our final test. In between the 12 weeks, for each week, we have a quiz that you can take online for your own study and purposes. And within the academy, we have the ancient Hebrew. We have the new segment, which of course, that itself is never the same from time to time because there's new articles from time to time. And it keeps you updated on what's going on in prophecy, what's going on in world news, so on and so forth, and in connection with the Bible. And then after that, after the new segment, we have our biblical/historical breakdown, in which we have 12 different lessons ranging from the creation to the universe, all the way to Christ and the gospel in the Old Testament, showing the existence of Christ, the prophecies pertaining to him, as well as the whole gospel being contained in the Old Testament. I mean, a wealth of information is contained in this academy. The Daniel 7 breakdown, the breakdown of the 4 beasts, the empires, so on and so forth. So if you want that information and more, please Send an email to gathering as one. That's the word one or letter one, not the letter, the number one. So gathering as one, the number one at AOL.com, and you'll receive information on how to become a part of the Academy. In fact, I believe there's something on the website for the Academy also that we can paste in the chat. And also, with our Elders and Deacons course, I know you all have been hearing about it. What we're going to do is we're opening it up, and the requirements for this particular Elders and Deacons lesson, which will be for Tuesdays for the Elders and Deacons and Thursdays for the sisters. You must be a baptized member for at least 2 years. You must be at least of 30 years and older to be a part of this course. At least 30 years and older, baptized for at least 2 years under a body. And also, another thing we wanted to mention is that if you have someone who may be in their 40s or 50s, who may have not been baptized for 2 years, but they may have been baptized and been fervent for at least a year, someone who is of age, if they seek to be within this this course, they can be within it also. All right, and it's open to everyone who meets those requirements. Again, at least 30 years and older, and have been baptized learning under the church for at least 2 years. And you also have to be in the academy, meaning that during the same time we have the Elders and Deacons classes, you must be enrolled in the academy, and we're doing that for administration purposes. Okay, so it can be, I was in the academy a few academies ago, can I get in? You must be in the current academy that's upcoming to partake in this in this course, and again, it's for administration purposes. And it's open for everyone who fits those requirements. All right. So those are the things we have looking forward to in the future, and I believe that's also going to be a very important aspect of our ministry going forward, helping to find the leaders amongst us and focus and raise up those people so that we can begin to add laborers to the field. As Christ said, the work is plenteous.